saw the fall off of the entire team when he did go out. Granted, the team wasn't that great when he was there, but he made them competitive.
He was on pace to throw for 5,000 yards.
Yeah, they was also down by like 20 points in the second quarter every single game too. So like they had to throw the ball. Trust me, I know I'm a Falcons fan. And I saw
that defense was terrible though.
I'm a Falcons fan. I saw it. So
why you bringing up old?
They don't play with the hard way, yeah.
All right, y'all. We are back. 3 the hallway. Tariq Rashad, Married Man Rob.
now you know what they call me.
Oh,
Any guy say it no more. You already know what they call me.
What's your name again?
What do they
don't know
call
what they call you, Rob.
Married Man Rob.
Okay, you say we don't got to say it no more. Oh, that's
you know what
okay.
they call me, Robbie.
My bad. John. You got a nickname for the day? What?
I'm here so I don't get fined.
I'm here so I won't get fined.
That's
Just
all.
here so you don't get fined. Copy. All right, y'all. We're going to talk about the NFL. We're not too far away from having our story debate about the best receivers going into the following year. We're going to do that a little bit earlier this year before the rookies even get drafted. We're going to talk about our personal top 10s before we open it up to the crowd, open it up to the fans, open it up to the opinionated people out in the world. And then we will have our tournament and discuss our top 10. We're also going to talk about Dak Prescott getting paid ka-ching. Second highest paid quarterback in the NFL going into next year as of right now. And we'll talk about his contract and what it's worth and what he's worth. And is he worth his contract in comparison to other quarterbacks and maybe in comparison to his team's success? We're going to talk about our top 10 receivers. So I didn't put mine in order. I did put mine in order, but I don't care to put mine in order just to have you guys dismantle it later. So I'm going to just say my top 10. You guys can do whatever you want with your top 10, but I'm going to open it up to my co-host.
I'll start on my top 10, man. And like you said, Ty, I did not put mine in order. So this is just Rob's top 10 in no particular order. So I got what's his name? Yeah, Devontae Adams, great year.
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Hopkins, another great year. Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill. And here's where like my list kind of takes a little shift. I got Travis Kelce, bro.
Let's hear it,
bro. I got Travis Kelce, man. It's time to put some respect on this man.
Put some respect on my name.
He is one of the top 10 receivers in the NFL, and I will argue that with anybody. All right. Aside from him, I got Allen Robinson. Had a great year with two scrub behind.
Going into next year, Allen Robinson is in your top 10.
Yes, Allen Robinson is in my top 10.
Okay.
I had trouble with that too. I was thinking about Allen Robinson.
Bro, he had two poop quarterbacks and played great. That's all I got to say. Aside from him, I got DK Metcalf, who had an amazing year. He had a breakout year. I got Mr. Gritty himself, Justin Jefferson. Throw your bees up.
I say right foot creep, walking with that heater. Look around.
And then you know I gotta be a homer, dog. But he had a great year. Calvin Ridley.
What the hell was that?
So unfortunately, my boy Julio did not make my top 10.
I just want to hear it again. What'd you say, Rob?
I'm not saying it no more. You can
John, what'd he say? John, say it for him. What'd he say?
No.
Not gonna be able to do it.
No,
So
Julio.
going into next year, Julio Jones is not even in your top 10?
Say it again. Say something else. Oh, say something else. Say something else.
I got Calvin Ridley.
Oh man. I guess I'll just jump right in. I'll jump right in. I got D-Hop Nukem. I had to get him in there. I got Tyreek Hill. He had a great season. I think Tyreek Hill proved himself as, if not top 5 receivers in the game. Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, and I think he's only getting better. I still got Julio, bro. I don't know what He had an offseason. He got hurt with injuries.
I won't argue.
I got Julio. Michael Thomas, you call him Mr. 5 and in. I call him Mr. My cartilage was messed up the whole season. The only reason why I really played was because Drew Brees was going out. I think Mike Thomas got a lot more football left in him, and I think that he's a top 10 receiver. I got Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley, and DK.
That sound like 9, no?
That's it.
Okay. My kind of
All right, y'all. This list was hard. I did it the way that I always do my list. I look at all the receivers and I just jot down all the top guys. I write down all the guys that could be in consideration. And I came up with 22 names. I had to take my list from 22 to 10. And Rob, I love how you put Travis Kelce on your list. I mentioned it in the production meeting for myself. But I felt like there were too many good receivers to throw Travis Kelce, who is a tight end, into the mix.
He better than half the receivers on this list.
So they say. A lot of people say it, though.
I don't know if he's better than half the receivers on the list. I think he's a top receiver, but I also think, and let's be real, Travis Kelce does line up outside the numbers at times. It's not something that he does consistently because he's such a great blocker, but he does line up outside the numbers at times, and he does have his way with cornerbacks at times. Granted, he doesn't line up against them all the time, and I think it's not fair. If it was a down year for receivers, if we would talk about poop butt receivers, then I would definitely throw him up there. But I think this was a great year for receivers all across the board. And a lot of them are very young. So I expect it to get even tougher to make this list when I have guys like Julio still on my list, who's in the twilight of his career. But I digress. I had to leave 12 names off the list. Allen Robinson was definitely one of them. My top 10, my favorite receiver going into this year. Deshaun Jackson is still in the league. That is my all-time favorite receiver behind Steve Smith. But my favorite receiver in the league right now, Stefon Diggs. I've been talking about him for a very long time. I got him on my list. D Hop, I had him at number 1 last year. I still think he's the best receiver in the league.
I know.
Calvin Ridley made my list. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen. This one was tough, but DK Metcalf, I believe, is in the top 10 right now. Mike Evans, who I didn't hear from either one of you.
I said Mike Evans.
Super Bowl. Oh, you said Mike Evans? Okay. I'm sorry.
Nice.
Mike Evans, and then I got you the two guys that was at 1 and 2 last year. Julio Jones, who had a injury-riddled season. I still think a healthy Julio Jones at, I believe, 34, Rob? 33?
Something like that.
33, 34. I still think he's a top 10 talent at receiver going into next year, and I think he's one of the guys that will have something to prove. Channel Little Baby down there in Atlanta. I think he's going to have a really good season going into next year. And Mike Thomas, again, like John said, Mike Thomas was definitely hurt. You talked about earlier in our other segment, you talked about AD being hurt more than you think, being more hurt than the Lakers are leading on to. We learned that Mike Thomas was a lot more hurt than the Saints was leading on to, or that even he was leading on to, but he wanted to finish it out with Breeze just in case that was Breeze's last season. I believe Breeze said he's coming back, right?
Yeah, he hasn't announced either way.
He hasn't announced either way? Okay. So I think Mike Thomas, even though he is a 5-and-in killing machine, he also can take you down the field. He's a great route runner. I think you have to respect him for that. His size is very, very hard to match up with in general. I think he'll be back at top 10 receiver in the league if he's healthy next year. But I gotta say, man, there was some guys that was on my list last year that didn't make the list, and some guys that was on our top 10 last year that I didn't hear come out of any of our mouths, like Chris Godwin, who made our top 10 list last year. Adam Thielen. I didn't hear Adam Thielen. He was in our pool last year. I don't think he was in our top 10, but he was definitely in our pool. I also want to shout out some guys that had some really good seasons that didn't make the list. You guys talked about Allen Robinson. I think A.J. Brown had a good enough season to be in contention, or at least be mentioned. Tyler Lockett had a great season. Justin Jefferson, the rookie.
I say right foot creep, walking with that heater. Look around, stay low, man.
Rob, you put him in. He didn't make my list, but definitely needs his credit due. And Jarvis Landry. I know Jarvis doesn't have the numbers like all of these other guys, but let's be real. He was on a team that made the playoffs, had the playoff push, and he was the top receiver. Odell Beckham went down, who's also not on our list this year. And Jarvis did his thing. He's still one of the most consistent. I believe it's 80 plus catches a season. Plays all 16 games. Iron Man out there. So although he didn't make my top 10, if we were doing top 20, I think Jarvis Landry no doubt makes that list in the high area of that next 10. So wanted to shout some of those guys out. Any guys you guys want to shout out that didn't make y'all list, but you know had a really good season? I know some other names that I didn't say.
I feel like OBJ is gonna be back, but he has a lot to prove, being injury prone this year, and he's been injury prone throughout his career. So that's one guy. I think Justin Jefferson, like Rob said, for real, is going to be the real deal over there in Minnesota. I can't wait to see what season 2 is going to look like. I also want to see what Henry Ruggs is going to do. I want to see what Jerry Jeudy's going to do. I want to see what those guys who were drafted early on last year. CeeDee Lamb gets Dak back next year, right? So, look, those guys are going to be guys I'll be looking out for as well to see if their second year is going to be what we thought their first year is going to be. Cortland Sutton, I forgot about him, and Terry McLaurin.
Man, I want to show some love to my boy Deontay Johnson, dog. He had a great year. He don't drop the ball.
Yeah, he got to catch them passes. He could have. He had opportunity to Tyreek Hill his way onto this list, the way Tyreek Hill did last year, because it was doubt, and it wasn't from me, but there was doubt that Tyreek Hill was the monster, or was it just the gimmick? Was it just and he showed himself as a smaller guy that's in and out, can also go down the field, make guys miss, beat guys over the top, go and get those high point balls. And Deontay Johnson, like you said, man, he had a hell of a year, but he also dropped a ton of passes. So he has to. He's on the way. We didn't mention any of the Pittsburgh receivers. Chase Claypool had a really good season. Juju was on our list. He's fallen off.
Corvette.
He's falling off our list. And Amari Cooper, I know I didn't mention Amari Cooper. I know he's pretty good out there, and he also didn't make our list last year. But the people have an opportunity to talk about it, so we're gonna open up the comments this week on our Instagram page, our Facebook page. Guys, text message, send us your list, send us your top 10. It doesn't have to be in order. If it is in order, then it's easier to point system them out. We're gonna definitely start our tournament next week and really get into this top 10 receivers. But over to Dak Prescott. You talked about Dak Prescott having you talked about CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, and even what's some boy name that catches all the long balls?
Michael Gallup.
Yeah, Michael Gallup, the 9 route. He get all flies. He get straight flies at the sideline. Dak Prescott just signed second largest quarterback contract behind the enormous contract that Pat Mahomes signed. He's gonna get $45 million this year.
$75 million this year. He gets $75 million for the second
this year.
Year coming up. He getting $75 million. I think it's 4 years, 160.
So that got paid. I heard some real good conversation over on some other sport networks about who won the negotiating battle here. But we know Dak has been in a rut, or not necessarily a rut, but it's been very big in the media. Dak Prescott's quarterback, his contract situation over the last 3 years. He was franchise tagged last year. He got hurt, season-ending injury, reconstructive surgery on his leg. And most people don't sign deals like this when there's so much controversy with the owner and the negotiator, your agent, and, you get franchise tagged and the running back gets the huge contract. And it never felt to me that this was in the bag. It was just a matter of time before the Cowboys had to sign Dak. And now Dak getting signed, setting the market, basically the real market, because Patrick Mahomes is not the market. setting the market basically. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that it's deserving? Do you think that the Cowboys kind of shot themselves in the foot, no pun intended, when it comes to signing Dak Prescott, who's coming off of injury? But what are your sentiments?
I think Dak deserves this contract.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, man's done nothing but win for Dallas, and be nothing but a rock. It's not like he's been injured. It's not like he's taking days off. He's been in. This is his first major injury. Last season showed what it means when he's out. You know, the offense looked really bad, really, really bad. They had 3 different quarterbacks. It looked bad. Yeah, and the red rifle wasn't look. You know, and the receivers couldn't get off. Zeke couldn't get off. So he deserved the contract. I think that there are a couple of bad contracts in the league. Is why he can negotiate that. I mean, the Jared Goff contract is kind of crazy. Kirk Cousins is getting $33 million.
Jimmy G is getting paid.
Yeah. Carson Wentz is getting $32 million. You know, I think Carson Wentz deserves it. His $32 million outside of last year. Because remember, he has been winning as well. This last year was a really, 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 really bad season for him. I think that he's going to revive his career over there.
In that case, Jared Goff was in Super Bowl.
Yeah, but Jared Goff didn't show you he didn't like Carson Wentz. You can tell that he was an NFL quarterback. Jared Goff, you know, he needed gimmicks. Like Sean McVay disguised and covered up a lot of his flaws through his play calling. He also had Gurley over there at one point. They was running a lot of repass ops, RPOs, and laterals and jet sweeps. That's the offensive mind of Sean McVay, not more so the ability to lead a team as a Jared Goff. And I think that he capitalized on it because he was the face of the Los Angeles Rams. And I'm not mad at him for getting that money. I just don't think that it's deserved. So with that being said, I think that he should, especially playing in the biggest market of football, which is Dallas. I think that he deserves that money.
Tell him to bring me my money.
Yeah, man. Dak definitely deserves the money. I'm happy he's getting the $75 million this next coming year. Just being a 4th round draft pick, you know, their base salary isn't that great. I think like he was making under $2 million for like his first 4 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, so I look at it as back pay, essentially, like being the starter of America's team, lead them to the playoffs, getting their first playoff win in how long. Mm-hmm. And then, like John said, we saw the fall off of the entire team when he did go out. Granted, team wasn't that great when he was there, but he made them competitive.
He was on pace to throw for 5,000 yards.
Yeah, they was also down by like 20 points in the second quarter every single game too. So like they had to throw the ball. Trust me, I know I'm a Falcons fan. I saw
that defense was terrible though.
I'm a Falcons fan. I saw it. So
why you bringing up old?
So like, you know, his stats may have been a little bit inflated, but saying that to say, when you saw that team without Dak, it was like night and day. And I'm really happy that he got the contract done. I wasn't expecting him to get a contract done, but you know, Jerry Jones plays hardball, and that's what he does. So now the Dallas Cowboys are back on top of the sports world as far as headlines. So exactly what he wanted. Shout out to Dak, man.
Yeah, shout out to Dak getting the contract. Like you said, Rob, I like the word back pay. When you sign from a 4th round draft pick and you become a star, when you're a steal in the draft, they also stealing out your pockets. Mm-hmm. And he did get franchise last year, so franchise tag is always a pretty penny. So you add that to what he's gonna make this year. Dak is made. Dak is made. I hope he can perform up to that contract. And it's Dallas. Let's be real. I know they've been bad for our adulthood, but that's a very prominent football team, franchise. So they expect wins. They believe they have a top 5 running back. He's paid like one. They have a top 5 quarterback. He's paid like one. So Dallas is on the clock now. What are you gonna are you just playing to win the NFC East, or are you playing for more? Big questions, big shoes for Dak to fill, but he got paid, and I'm happy that he did get paid. And the brother getting paid, always happy for that.
Yes, sir. Dak.
Shout out
Big
to
up to
Crew.
Dak. We're gonna move on to our next topic.
Don't play.
Hot.